The ocean breeze carried the scent of saltwater and hibiscus as Marcus and Nia Thompson stepped out of their rental car onto the gravel driveway of their beachside cottage. After 15 years of marriage and Marcus's recent retirement from the army, this vacation to the remote coastal town of Marlin Bay was long overdue. "It's perfect," Nia whispered, her dark eyes taking in the whitewashed cottage with its blue shutters and the expanse of private beach beyond. "No work emails, no obligations. Just us." Marcus smiled, pulling his wife close. At 42, he still moved with the controlled precision of his special forces days, though he'd tried to leave that life behind. The scars on his arms told stories he rarely shared, even with Nia. "Just us," he agreed, kissing her forehead. They spent the first day as planned, completely disconnected. They swam in the crystal-clear water, ate fresh seafood at a local restaurant, and watched the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and purple. For the first time in years, Marcus felt the tension leave his shoulders, but paradise has a way of hiding its shadows. Their second evening, Marcus and Nia drove into town for dinner. Marlin Bay was small, one main street lined with weathered shops, a few restaurants, and a bar that looked like it had seen better decades. As they walked hand in hand down the sidewalk, Marcus noticed the stares. He'd dealt with this before. A black couple in a predominantly white rural town wasn't always welcomed with open arms. But he'd promised himself this vacation would be different. No paranoia. No hypervigilance. Just peace. "Table for two?" The hostess at Captain's Table restaurant smiled warmly, and Marcus relaxed. Maybe he'd been wronged. Dinner was excellent, grilled mahi-mahi and cold beer. As they left, the sun had set completely, and the street was darker than Marcus expected. Several streetlights were out. It's when he noticed the truck. A lifted Ford F-250, matte black with tinted windows, idled at the corner. As Marcus and Nia passed, it began to roll slowly behind them. Marcus's hand instinctively tightened around Nia's. "Marcus?" She'd felt the shift in him immediately. "Just keep walking. Normal pace." The truck followed them for 2 blocks before revving its engine and speeding past, the occupants hooting out the windows. Marcus caught a glimpse of Confederate flag decals and at least 4 men inside. "Probably just kids being stupid," Nia said, but her voice was tight. Marcus didn't respond. His training had kicked in automatically. He'd already memorized the truck's license plate, noted the broken tail light, counted the occupants, and identified 3 possible escape routes from their current position. Old habits died hard. The next morning, Marcus jogged along the beach, trying to shake off the unease from the night before. 5 miles in, he noticed a figure on the dunes watching him. When Marcus changed direction, the figure moved too. He cut his run short and headed back to the cottage, where Nia was reading on the porch. "Everything okay?" she asked, looking up from her novel. "Yeah," Marcus lied. "Just tired." But that afternoon, when they drove to a nearby cove for snorkeling, the black truck appeared again. This time it followed them for miles down the coastal highway, staying close enough to be threatening but far enough to deny any confrontation. Marcus's jaw tightened. He'd trained for years to read situations, to identify threats before they materialized. Every instinct he had was screaming that this was more than harassment. It was a pattern. A probe. Someone testing their reactions. "Marcus, should we call the police?" Nia asked, her voice steady but concerned. He'd considered it. But in a small town like this, where everyone knew everyone, he wasn't sure the police would be allies. And if this was just harassment, calling the cops might escalate things unnecessarily. "Let's give it one more day," he said. "If it continues, we'll check out early and leave." That night, Marcus didn't sleep. He sat in the darkened living room, watching the road through a gap in the curtains. At 2:47 a.m., the black truck drove slowly past their cottage, pausing for nearly a minute before moving on. They weren't being paranoid. They were being hunted. The next day, Marcus suggested they stay close to the cottage. But Nia had been looking forward to visiting the lighthouse at Point Sentinel, a historic landmark 10 miles north. She'd already been cooped up too much, she argued, and she wasn't going to let some rednecks ruin their vacation. Marcus reluctantly agreed, but he took precautions. He changed into cargo pants with reinforced pockets, wore boots instead of sandals, and, despite promising himself he'd left this life behind, he retrieved the folding tactical knife from the hidden compartment in his luggage. The drive to Point Sentinel took them through increasingly remote terrain. Pine forests crowded the narrow road, and they passed only 2 other vehicles in 20 minutes. The lighthouse sat on a rocky promontory, its white tower gleaming in the afternoon sun. A small parking area was empty except for one vehicle, the black truck. "Marcus." Nia's voice was sharp with fear. "I see it." He kept driving past the parking area, continuing down the road, and his rearview mirror, he watched 4 men emerge from the truck. They were organized, he noted. 2 moved to flank positions while 2 stayed at the center. These weren't random thugs. Someone had military or tactical training. "We're going back," Marcus said, executing a quick 3-point turn, but as they rounded the bend, another truck blocked the road, this one a red Dodge Ram with 2 more men standing beside it. One held a baseball bat. The other, Marcus noted with cold clarity, had a pistol tucked in his waistband. They were boxed in. Marcus stopped the car 50 feet from the roadblock. His mind was already racing through scenarios, calculating odds, identifying weapons and cover. Nia, I need you to listen very carefully, he said, his voice calm and controlled. No matter what happens, you stay in this car. Doors locked. Keys in the ignition. If you get a chance to drive away, you take it. Don't wait for me. Marcus, what are you, promise me. She looked at her husband and saw something she'd only glimpsed a few times in their marriage, the warrior he'd been before she knew him. Cold. Focused. Lethal. I promise, she whispered. The two men from the roadblock were walking toward them now, taking their time. In the rearview mirror, Marcus saw the 4 from the black truck approaching from behind. 6 total. 3 in front, 3 behind in a few moments, not good odds, but he'd faced worse in Kandahar. The man with the bat reached the car first, tall, maybe 6'3", with a shaved head and a neck tattoo of a swastika. He tapped the bat against Marcus's window. Step out of the car, he said. His smile showed missing teeth. We just want to talk. Marcus studied the man's stance, his grip on the bat, the way his weight was distributed. Amateur. Relied on intimidation and size. Probably never been in a real fight. We're just leaving, Marcus said through the window. We don't want any trouble. Too late for that, boy. The man's smile widened. You're on our land now. And we got rules about your kind. Behind him, the others were laughing. Marcus counted weapons, 2 baseball bats, at least 2 firearms, probably knives. The guy with the pistol was hanging back, letting the others have their fun. That was a mistake. In any engagement, the armed threats should lead. They were about to learn a hard lesson. Last chance, Marcus said. Let us pass. The man with the bat laughed and raised his weapon, ready to smash the window. Marcus moved, threw open the car door with explosive force, the edge catching the man directly in the knee. There was a wet cracking sound, patella fracture, Marcus noted distantly, and the man went down screaming. Marcus was out of the car before the bat hit the ground. The second man, the one with the pistol in his waistband, was reaching for it when Marcus closed the distance. 3 steps. A lifetime of training compressed into 2 seconds, palm strike to the solar plexus, wind knocked out. Grab the gun hand before it reaches the weapon. Twist. Snap. The man's wrist broke with a sound like green wood. The pistol clattered to the asphalt. 0.5 seconds. 2 men neutralized, the 4 from behind were running now, shouting. Marcus scooped up the baseball bat and turned to face them. Nia, start the car, he shouted, everything narrowed to the timeless clarity of combat. The first attacker came in high with a wild haymaker. Marcus slipped inside his guard and drove the bat into his liver, a precision strike that dropped the man instantly, his body shutting down from the shock. Second attacker, smarter, came in low with a knife. Marcus parried with the bat, wood cracking against the blade, then drove his boot into the man's knee. Another joint destroyed. The man went down. 2 left. These 2 hesitated, suddenly realizing they'd made a terrible mistake. Whatever they'd thought Marcus was, a tourist, an easy target, prey, he was something else entirely. Behind them, the man with the broken wrist was running for the red truck. Marcus let him go. No threat. You have 1 chance, Marcus said to the remaining 2, his voice terrifyingly calm. Get your friends. Get in your trucks. Leave. And pray I never see you again. They looked at each other, then at their groaning companions on the ground, then back at Marcus, who stood relaxed but ready, every line of his body speaking of coiled violence. They ran. Marcus helped Nia move the red truck, keys still in the ignition, off the road. The 4 men who could still walk were loading the injured into the black truck. Marcus watched them, memorizing faces, already thinking 3 steps ahead. Are you okay? Nia asked. Her hands were shaking but her voice was steady. I'm fine. Marcus retrieved the pistol from the ground, a cheap 9mm, poorly maintained. He cleared it and pocketed the ammunition, then tossed the weapon into the dense brush beside the road. We need to leave. Now. They drove straight back to the cottage, Marcus checking mirrors constantly. At the house, he had them packed and in the car in under 10 minutes. As they pulled out, Nia finally spoke. Who were you back there? Marcus was silent for a long moment. Someone I tried not to be anymore. Are they going to come after us? No, Marcus said with certainty. They picked the wrong people. They know that now. But as they drove away from Marlin Bay, leaving their cut-short vacation behind, Marcus made a call on his cell phone. Dave? It's Marcus. Yeah, I know I said I was retired. Listen, I need you to run some plates for me. We had an incident. 2 weeks later, Marcus and Nia were back home in Maryland when Marcus received a call from a Detective Saracen with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. Mr. Thompson? I wanted to personally thank you for the information you provided. We've been tracking this group for 18 months. They've been targeting minorities in that area, running them off, threatening them. We just couldn't get anyone to testify. What happened? Marcus asked. Your detailed report, combined with the license plates and descriptions you provided, gave us everything we needed. We executed warrants yesterday. 6 arrests so far, more coming. We found weapons, hate material, and evidence linking them to 3 other assaults. Marcus felt Nia's hand slip into his. They made a mistake with you, Detective Chen continued. They thought you were prey. They didn't realize you were the predator. I'm not a predator, Marcus said quietly. I'm just someone who knows how to protect what's mine. After the call ended, Nia curled up beside him on the couch. So much for a relaxing vacation, she said. Marcus laughed, really laughed, for the first time since that night on the road. Next time, we're going to Hawaii. Next time, Nia agreed, we're not going anywhere remote. Deal. She looked up at him, her eyes serious. Thank you for keeping us safe. Always, Marcus said. That's a promise I made 15 years ago, and it's one I'll never break. Outside, the Maryland rain pattered against the windows. Inside, wrapped in his wife's arms, Marcus finally felt the last of the tension leave his body. He'd been forced to become the warrior again, to tap into skills he'd hoped to leave buried, but some things, he realized, you never truly leave behind. You just carry them differently. And sometimes, when the people you love are threatened, those old skills are exactly what you need. The gang had targeted what they thought was an easy mark, a black couple alone and vulnerable. They never considered that some battles aren't determined by numbers or hate, but by training, discipline, and a warrior's protective love. Marcus and Nia never returned to Marlin Bay, but they heard the town changed after the arrests. New leadership. New attitudes. Sometimes justice comes from the most unexpected places, and the most unexpected people.